Hey there, everyone. This is Kevin Daisey with Array Digital. I'm joined today by Danny Rubin, and I'm sure you guys are just starting to join with us right now. So we'll take a second and get started here. So Danny, thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to learning what you have to share.
Thanks, Kevin.
You
Uh,
told me about some really cool tactics with Zoom, but go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a bit more about you, and
for
then
sure.
yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. I'm a big fan of Array and everything you guys do and all your hustle on social media and the work you do. It is noticed and appreciated. And so I'm happy to help be part of the Friday session and share from my perspective what I've been working on specifically since the pandemic hit. And you know, I'm based in Virginia Beach and I wear a couple hats. Locally, I work as vice president of Rubin Communications Group, and we do public relations efforts for companies throughout the region, communication strategies, press releases, media events, crisis communications, video production. And I've, for the last several years, I've had a project off the side of my desk, as they say, turning the techniques we use as public relations professionals into instructional tools and curriculum for schools, for high schools, universities, and even adult ed. And as I have time within my day job, and one of the aspects of that job of growing that business, that side hustle, throughout the year, on occasion, I go to conferences and set up a booth, either locally or statewide, or sometimes around the country, to go to educational conferences to gather leads. And when the pandemic hit, like any other industry, every conference for educators was shut down. And it's pretty clear it's going to remain that way through the end of this calendar year. And so I had to change my approach. I had to pivot, like entrepreneurs always have to do. Got to pivot, change approach, figure out a new way forward. And so I hunkered down into webinar mode as early as mid-March and started to teach and share good advice, resources, tips, techniques, and as a byproduct, our own curriculum with my target audience of educators. And I've driven it exclusively through my email list and some tools that I've picked up along the way throughout the years that I've sort of solidified into a nice tight funnel that I'll share with everybody, take you inside the funnel and how it comes together. So you'll see the tools that I'm using. Maybe there's some that you're using yourself or some you haven't thought about or heard of. But my goal is to keep it as low cost as possible, as efficient as possible, to capture leads without spending a ton of money or exhausting a ton of resources. So that's what I'll share with everybody today.
Yeah, I love it. And when you gave me kind of a quick breakdown the other day about, you mentioned like 300, 400, 500 people in a Zoom call that you host, which
Yeah.
sounded really awesome. And I was like, I want to know how to do that. I guess just quickly, everyone that's watching, just for sake of time, if you got questions about Zoom or anything in what he just said, get some questions going. We'll ask those throughout. And then as Danny shares kind of his concept and what he's doing, just ask questions along the way if you can. So
Yeah.
So Danny, if you want to get right into
Sure.
showing us some
Well,
stuff, share your
let me
screen.
just, yeah, sure. I'll share my screen and just to give some numbers. To date, I've done 6 webinars. I do them every other Thursday at 12:30 Eastern time. And I have people watching from across the country because this product is relevant for schools all over the country. So we have people in California, people in Oregon, people Texas, Michigan, everywhere. And so I set it at 12:30 so that no matter where you are in the country, you're awake. It's in your work day. And a Thursday, because I feel like we get towards the end of the week, people are less stressed. I think a Monday is a terrible time. I avoid Mondays and Fridays because they just bookend the weekend. People are often traveling. But I think Thursday is a nice sweet spot. 12:30 is a good sweet spot. I'm stuck with that time. And I've done 6 webinars since mid-March. And I've had 2,500 people register in those across those 6.
That's awesome.
And with an average average registration of about 350 people. And I get about 60% to attend, which is also pretty strong because I'll explain, kind of keeping people in the loop as we get closer to the date, making sure they don't forget, they show up, making the topics compelling. So they really, it's like, meeting a need. It's not just like something to pass the time. It's like, I got to be there for that.
Yeah.
And that really speaks to what I'll get to with my sort of central point is you got to know your audience. You got to know how they tick, where they're hurting and where they need help. And if you can identify that, the crowds will come. And so that's been the routine. Every 2 weeks, I use the time after the webinar to do follow-ups with people who are interested in learning more, and also use that same amount of time to fill up the next one. And so I have a webinar coming up this Thursday on writing great LinkedIn profiles, which actually we can share that link after the fact. It's
Cool.
relevant for anybody, learning how to write a great LinkedIn profile, but it's really targeted at educators who can take these tips and bring them down to their students to get them closer to learning more about what we do as well, which is providing resources around those topics. And we have 214 people signed up for that right now, and it's set for this coming Thursday. So still some more time to get it to around to that average of 350. And then I know I'll get, hopefully like 100, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, somewhere in there coming on live, maybe a little more. And that's a good pot of people to talk to teach and to expose to our brand. So let me share my screen and kind of get into the flow here. And if people have questions, they just let me know because I can't see it right now. But
yeah, I'll post any questions come through. I'll have it up
sure.
and I'll ask you. Yeah.
So hopefully, Kevin, you can see my screen. And I wanted to share the tools that I use and just really not keep this so high level, but to get into the weeds. That's where this stuff has value. I've been on a million webinars. I've done online courses. I've done the dance. I know the game. And it's at the end of the day, it's like, what tools are you using? How do you use them? And what does it cost? So let's just get right down to like, what am I doing to run these webinars? And so I'm using as my email platform ConvertKit. And if anybody watching has used this ConvertKit, you can chat about it. Let us know what you use. But I've used ConvertKit for several years, and it's done well for me. And I like the tool because it, like many tools, like Infusionsoft, which this is sort of like a cheaper version of Infusionsoft in my mind, and it has automation. So when people register for the webinar, they automatically get tagged in my email list and they get put onto a sequence where they get like a thanks for registering type sequence. And then I can use that sequence to communicate with people as we get closer to the webinar. And I hope I'm making sense for those of you who know what I'm talking about. And my list right now is at 13,000. So I would say before the pandemic, I was about 9,000. And since then, I've been putting out free resources, webinars, and added about 4,000 people to my list, but it's 4,000 super focused, targeted people. Like these are 4,000 educators. These are people that I want to talk to show them what we do, teach them, educate them, help them out in a time of need. And for those who are so motivated, they can learn more about our program. And I'm careful with what I just said there because I am not using these webinars as a gigantic sales pitch. And I'm not talking about price. I'm not talking about implementation. I am there to provide value. And if you show up and all you do is come to that webinar, I want you to leave and say that was time well spent. And for those people who want to learn more, I offer that opportunity to learn more through follow-up discussion. But my focus in these webinars is just good value, 100% value, nothing else. And that helps people want to come back because they know they're not going to be sold to. They're going to be there to get better at their job. And that's number one. When you're doing webinars, do not sell. Do not make it a bait and switch. Do not make it a gotcha. Just be helpful. I feel like that's something Zach Miller would say, right? Just be helpful. Just help people, right? But that's
right up front. Right?
It's true. And I'm not playing games with people. I only want to talk to people who want to talk to me. Let's make that very clear. I'm not chasing people. I'm not cold calling people. If you want to know more, if you want to get closer to this, let's talk. But I'm not going to play games with anybody. Nobody likes that. So this is the flow. People come to, well, actually, let me cue it up. People come to our webinar registration page. I put it out through our email list.
Okay.
And I'm like, look, we're putting on a webinar. Here's the topic. In this case, it's how to write an exceptional LinkedIn profile. Done other topics on teaching virtually and helping students learn virtually and all these themes that are educational focused. And it's a simple registration page. We've all seen these before. You sign up. That's great. You get put on our list, or if you're already on the list, either way, but you immediately get sent over to ConvertKit. Now, the way I'm doing that, for those of you who have used Zapier before, there are so many tools out there. They don't always all talk to each other. And Kevin, are you familiar with
Zapier?
Zapier? Have you seen this tool before?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We use the crap out of Zapier.
Yeah, I figured you
Eric and
did.
Jamal here are probably the ones that handle it most, but we have, I mean, I don't even know how many hundreds of zaps we have, but we use it for a lot of things.
Yeah, I figured you guys were playing at this game too.
Amazing
So
tool.
mine is very simple right now. It's when you register through Zoom, you get sent to ConvertKit, you get put in our email list, and you get put on a sequence that says, welcome, thanks for coming to the webinar, can't wait to have you there. Real basic. And then I use that sequence in ConvertKit to communicate with people as we get closer to the webinar. So I'm just talking to that subset of my list, not everybody, because they didn't all register. So the several hundred, whoever it was, I'm just using that sequence to communicate with people. And that all happens in the background when people register through Zoom. It goes to ConvertKit, and this process is taking place in the background. I know you get it, but for those who are unfamiliar with automation, Zapier is a good tool because it can connect hundreds and hundreds of different tools that don't already speak to each other. So that's what I'm doing, to send people over to ConvertKit, put them on the list, get them into the sequence, and then get them in the rhythm of being communicated with about our upcoming webinar. And this is my, and I have a sequence for that webinar. And in that webinar sequence, it's a one-time email that comes out automatically. And here's the one right now. And I want to point out, because this gets to the other tools that I'm using, that in that email, they've already, and with lead generation and sales, it's all about making people take steps forward, right? The more steps they take towards you, the more comfortable they are with you. And so I'm saying, all right, can't wait to have you, in this case on Thursday the 18th at 12:30. It's going to be great. And also for the educators out there, we put together a collection of sample activities that cover email etiquette, life skills, and creating a LinkedIn profile. And we've had over 600 educators request that material, and that's a true number, I'm not making that up. Probably over 700 now, I should update that. They come through every day, and they request this material, and it's just a Google folder with material, but they have to request it by going to a page, which we use ClickFunnels as a sort of a sales page. For those of you who are familiar with ClickFunnels, it's like a drag and drop landing page or sales page program. There's a very basic page that they come to, and we tell them, look, we have a total teaching time of 10 to 15 hours. I tell you the exact activities you're going to get. And I think I have a tool running on this page that has sort of like turned itself off since I've been sitting here, but we're using a tool called Proof. There's a lot of tools on the market like it. I like Proof. It's done well for me. And it's a social action tool that where a little thing pops up in the corner when someone's on that page. It says so-and-so, oops, sorry. It says so-and-so just requested samples 30 minutes ago or 2 hours ago or 8 hours ago from so-and-so city. So it's that instant social proof that someone else was here before you, and it's okay that you requested too. You're not alone. And I haven't looked at the data in the last few weeks, but it's converting at about 50%, which is awesome.
Oh, wow.
1 out of 2 people to come, because think about the people that are coming to this page, right? They may have come to this from our website or usually through this webinar funnel. So they're already in the mindset of like looking for help. So, and they've already requested the webinar and registered. So they're already doing things. So they've also then, some of them also request the sample material. So by the time they come to the webinar, they've joined up. They may have already looked at some sample material. They already are getting a feel for like what we do. They're motivated and they're trusting us. And I want that trust. I'm not looking to break that trust. I want them to trust us implicitly all the time. So I'm just giving free webinars, free resources, but trying to use tools along the way that encourage people to take that step and feel comfortable doing so.
Just go a
So
little deeper,
yeah,
and you can track the people that have taken that next step.
for sure. And I suppose when I haven't been, but because they all sort of go into this same bucket, and I can use all the webinar registrants in like a giant group now, but I could also be putting them on a separate tag for requested samples if I wanted to. I'm sort of treating them as this this big bucket. Actually, no, I'm sorry. These people go to an educator tag as well. So they are tagged from requesting this material too, and I could gather all those tags up in one big email if I want to. So the flow is the registration page into ConvertKit, and then if they want to, they go to the landing page to request more samples. The proof tool is running to show that they're not alone, and then they get into the funnel where in the coming days, depending on when they registered, we send email reminders 1 week out, 1 day out, and 30 minutes out from the webinar, reminding them, in addition to the emails that Zoom sends, I'm sending my own email correspondence, hitting them 2 times, because people get busy, they forget. And I'm not trying to hit them up a million times, but enough times that they at least know that it's going on. And I tell them that this is important for webinars, that people are going to ask, are you going to make a recording? And I say, yes, we are going to make a recording, but it's always better if you come live. And that is true. It's a better experience, one. And in the flow of these webinars, early on, this is a tactic that I think is helpful. Early, I offer a free sample from the webinar early on, because in the first 10 to 15 minutes, you'll have the biggest crowd. If you wait till the very end, people start trickling out the door. And so early on, before I even get into the learning, I say, look, we put together another free resource for you. Like, we just did a webinar on engaging online presentation tactics. So I put together a checklist of things to consider you can print out and put next to your computer before you do your own presentation. And I say early on, if you would like that free resource, go to the chat and type the word interested with your email address. And I give people time to do that. And the chat fills up. People say, interested, interested. I want that. Please, can I have that, with their email? And I say, I'm happy to send it to you, but to do that, I want to have a very brief phone call in the coming days so that I can help you understand these resources and get to know the work that you're doing, which is exactly what I do. If they're willing to take that call, which is just a few minutes, I give them the resource I promised, learn about what they're doing, make sure they understand the resource that we offer. And if it's of interest to them, we can get into that conversation. But I really wait a very long time before I entertain any sales discussion, because it's all about them and it's all about helping them. And I'm only going to talk about that if it is of interest to them. I'm simply not going to spend time with people who don't care. I will just be a good resource for you, and we can leave it at that. And I think that's what people like to be talked to, and I don't want to say sold to, but have product put in front of them. If they want to know more, I'm happy to explain. Otherwise, no big deal. Thanks for being part of our community, and look out for more free resources. So that's how I've been running this, and it's allowed me to open up a lot of doors with my target audience, with school systems around the country, universities, faculty, administrators looking for resources. I lead first with being helpful all the way to the phone call. And from there, I just let them know what we do. And if they would like more information, then that's how it goes. I think it's the nicest, fairest, smoothest way to get to the warmest possible leads, is just be a nice person and don't have any agenda about it. But certainly in a one-on-one call, it'd be foolish to not tell them more about the program if they are so inclined. So that, and I also want to show, because I made this up before I forget, this is the a quick slide that shows the tools that I mentioned and what I'm paying each month.
Yeah, well, actually, you had Daniel Keever, who has previously worked with us, and he's got his own business now. Daniel, nice to see you. Thanks for commenting. For one, he said, for Zoom or any kind of video call, that, clients are just now seeing the value of it since COVID. But many may want to stay this way and continue using these types of products. He also asked a question about how much was that tier that you're using for ConvertKit, which I assume you're going to get to in the slide.
Wait, can you see my slide, or is it not showing?
Nope, I can see your slide. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this is the tier I'm at in ConvertKit because it's just based on total number of subscribers. So it's a under 15,000 price.
Okay, excellent. All right.
And
So
so it's
there's
about, I think
everybody.
it's like 470 a month, which you might look at and say that's a lot. Somebody might say that's a little. In my world, trying to secure, institutional licenses of a software program, of a curriculum, that is a reasonable amount of money to spend per month to go after, institutions who will spend on, or I hope they would spend on curriculum for their students. So it's a worthy investment for me. I know we all
Well,
look at money differently, but this is the leanest I can make it right now.
well, let's think about, if I was asking someone here on the video, or for say Array Digital, if we could get in front of 400 to 500 people every 2 weeks that are potential prospects, would that be worth 400 and some dollars a month? And I would say absolutely.
Yeah,
We spend way more than that on different pieces of software to not get
right,
in front of that many people. So
right. Yeah, and I really think that the biggest thing with all of this that I've learned is, and you've probably heard marketers say it, I've heard them say it, your email list is the number one place to do business because you have the trust there. And I know that when I send out these webinars, I know people are forwarding it to their colleagues. And this is the thing about being in a niche
yeah,
industry. And even though education is very large, it's still niche. And I've had many people tell me, I asked them, how did you find out about our webinar? Oh, so and so forwarded it to me. And I'd say, oh, who forwarded it? And they'd say, oh, so and so. And I'd say, oh, that's a teacher like 2 states away.
yeah,
But they know each other from some committee they're on, from some organization, right? So it's like super tight knit connected when you get into a niche space. So I know, and those forwards are so valuable to me. They're worth its weight in gold, but I'm not paying for that.
that's awesome.
Therefore, they're doing the work for me because they trust me. They've been to a webinar, they've been on my newsletter, they know what we do. So I'm driving all of this. I'm not doing Facebook marketing right now. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on LinkedIn. I'm not doing it. I've done it before. Right now, I'm just circling the wagons and I'm driving it through my email list, and that fills it up, or it has so far, and I hope it continues. And I'm not marketing elsewhere until I feel like I need to do that because I have the most trust in my own email list.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was actually on a call yesterday, or maybe Wednesday, actually. And we have a podcast, and it was kind of about podcasts, a different
Yep.
subject. But our call to action is usually subscribe to our podcast. And one of the guys has said, "Hey, that was what I used to do too, but that doesn't help. Like, doesn't do anything for you." Now he's changed it to subscribe to my email list, because
Oh yeah.
now you can actually get a hold of them and send them stuff and content in
100%.
other ways. So if they're on the podcast,
100%.
you can't really do anything.
It's true because the email list sort of generates its own momentum because now I've added so many people over the last few weeks or a few months that now they're in my world too. And so the circle of influence, it's not huge. I'm not telling you that I have 1 million subscribers. I don't. But I'm talking to people I want to talk to, and little by little it grows. So then the referral network grows and it helps perpetuate what I'm trying to do, whatever comes next. I mean, I'll do webinars for now, and as long as it makes sense. And it's possible into the fall that needs to be a different approach because I don't have people's attention like I do now. If we start going back into the school building, for instance, I don't have people's attention at 12:30 on a Thursday like I do now when everybody's at home. So the approach may need to change, and I'll adjust just like I have so far. But right now, it's consistent, and it's helping me do what I want to do, and not only with the lead generation, but just the brand awareness is. I think about if I go to a conference, set up a table, stand there for 3 days on my
Yeah,
feet, 6 hours a day, I'll probably leave with 25 or 30 leads, but I'm really only limited to the people that walked by my booth or went to a session I led that are going to know what I do. But in this way, I'm reaching hundreds, if not thousands, of people with my brand in every corner of the country. And if we don't work together now, maybe we will down the line. But I do think that no matter what comes next, I'm going to be doing webinars as more
yeah.
of a focused part of my strategy than I was before, because it has so much value sort of in the here and now, and maybe even down the road. I mean, I've done some business with some teachers whom I met 3 years ago, but they've been on my list, and it just became the right time where what I had met what they needed. And so it's like, you never know with people when they might come back around and suddenly need to use you. So that's why the email list is crucial.
Well, plus, traveling and going to a conference, the cost of that is
And
very
that,
is huge. So,
I mean, I'll do it again. And when it opens back up, I'll get back out there, and I'm probably generating some opportunities to do more speaking because of these webinars too. And I'll do it, but webinars are going to be a part of the game. Figuring out the time of day and week to get people is going to be the challenge, but it needs to be part of the routine because it holds way too much value, and it's so cost effective.
yeah. So, real quick, obviously, anyone who's got any questions, we only have a few minutes left here. I know Daniel, you asked about ConvertKit. We've got the prices of that up there. Danny, I don't know if we can share that slide you had later.
Oh, sure, I'll share it again.
You also had, I think, a link that you wanted to share. We can put it in the comments.
Yeah, we have. Well, I probably should have shared the webinar on LinkedIn. We can share that after the fact. But we did put together this collection of like self-directed exercises to improve your email skills, your LinkedIn skills. So there's that sign up page. You'll probably see the proof tool in the bottom corner when you get there, showing like other people have requested it. Just that really shows you the power of that kind of a tool. And there's like, I think Wix has a tool like that. There's lots of tools that exist. It's not the only one, but I think it's critical on sales and landing pages to convert people, because we have to feel like we're not by ourselves, and that it's okay to give up our information, especially to a brand we've never heard of before. I know for me and for our company, Rubin, that's the name of the side hustle, I should have said. It's called Rubin. And we're a brand new entity on the scene for most people. They don't know us. We haven't been used in their schools, or it's a new face. So it's critical to have social proof when you're a brand new thing, and people are like, who is this? What am I giving my name to? And I know that's how we're perceived right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm very mindful of that, and want people to feel comfortable in our world as early as possible.
If anyone listening, if you're using webinars right now, comment, or if you're using any one of these tools, just comment that you're using it. I know, again, like Zapier, we've used that for a long time. A lot of people that I know have used it. We don't use Zoom. We use Google Meets, which is what we're using right now.
Yep.
Kind of same difference, but we're a
yes,
Google.
and yeah, the same idea.
Yeah.
I want to make the distinction though that I'm using Zoom webinars, not Zoom meetings. And so in that space, which for webinars for large crowds is preferred for me, because people only see me and they can only chat in the thread. They're not looking at each other. There's no other video available. They're all eyes are on me for that session and in the chat. And it gives me the platform to say and do what I want to do and have their full attention. So I recommend, if you're in Zoom, you use Zoom webinars, and that's where the cost comes in. It's $140 a month for up to 500 attendees, unlimited webinars in that space, but $140 to have a room up to 500 people. I recommend webinars for crowds. It keeps it controlled. It keeps the focus on you, and all the action is in the comment thread.
Nice. Hey, real quick, we had Joe from, I think he's from owner of Meridian Group, says, nice job, Danny. So he says hello.
Thanks. Yeah, I just want to share what I'm learning. I don't have all the answers. Technology moves fast, but I've been playing this game for several years, and I feel like I found the tools that work for me, and I found a good rhythm. And it all begins with, if I could just sum it up, it's your email list, and it's knowing your customers' pain points and putting out topics that they're going to respond to, not because they want to support you because you're a nice guy. Screw that. It's about, am I solving your problem? Am I helping you with what you're going through? And we have teachers who are displaced all over the country who have never taught online before. They don't know what to do. They're lost. They're confused. They're hurting. And so as a brand, we want to step in and say, we will help you with the world that we understand and the knowledge we possess. We're going to help you through these problems. And that's all we're going to be right now, is just a problem solver for you.
That's a good point. I mean, that's a great opportunity if you're in that space, for sure, to help out. And you got,
or any space really. You got digital route with any space right now, and just say, I'm going to teach you how to do this digitally. I'm going to help you through this. We're going to do it together. That's the key tone of voice.
Excellent. All right. Well, I know you have another thing to get on to. It's 12:30 right now, so we'll wrap this
That's
up.
cool. You can wrap it up. You can do your thing.
So everyone, we posted a link to Danny's page in the comments. Remember to join us next Friday. We'll post some information about that here soon, about the next live, and tune back in. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Danny, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Absolutely.